Hello, 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 and welcome back to my podcast, Kitchen Table Talks with Kat, Episode 2. Instagram, YouTube, and podcast, oh my. Right now, I just wanted to share with you some of the Instagram feed, YouTube feed, and podcast feed that makes my dopamine happy. I think this will be a continued topic throughout the podcast life. I don't know how many episodes I'm actually going to do, but hey, I've made it to number 2. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for the new members that have started to follow me here on YouTube. So, without further ado, there's no top ranking like number 1 and number 5 is the worst. It's just I clicked on open tabs on my computer and I am just going to go down the line of them. I did group them though, Instagram, YouTube, and podcasts, so I'll be able to insert the information in that order. Why? Because that's how my brain works. All right, we are going to start with YouTubes. And one of the YouTubes I have been following for a while, and it's kind of a /YouTube podcast, is the Stationary Cafe. Stationary Cafe is a combined team of April of Penguin Creatives and Kelly of Kelly Love Letters. They have been friends for years and years and years. And on their podcast, they love to share about what they like about stationery, the newest items that they have bought, fountain pens, inks, what has worked for them, what hasn't worked for them, and even their favorite drink that they're drinking at that moment. So if you're into stationery, especially in the Japanese stationery, this would be a podcast for you. They do have a YouTube channel also, yet usually it's just the recording of their podcast. So if you like watching people while they talk, I would go to their YouTube channel. But if you just want to listen to it while you're doing your work or you're in the car or cooking, then you can go to the numerous channels that they have their podcast on. Right now, I'm listening to it on Google, which unfortunately is going away. Yep, YouTube has required the podcast thing, so now I have to try to find my podcast over on that channel instead of Google. Well, it was good while it lasted. So that is one of them. My next one is, I don't know how I found Megan Rion, and I apologize right now, Megan, if I mispronounced your last name. I was looking for things and to inspire my journaling, and also finding people that have autism. And she does both things. Well, not she does both things, but she has autism and also she's into journaling. She lives over in the UK with her father, and she does these great episodes called the Arctic Archive, and also Journal with Me. You never see her face, which is fine by me. She explains why she is using the particular journal at times, and sometimes you'll get to see snippets of her week. Sometimes you see her dog Wednesday, sometimes you just see where she's gone shopping. I really enjoy this channel due to the fact, not only because she's autistic, but that she explains her thinking behind why she's using her Hobonichi. And then she decided to go into an A6 Hobonichi compared to an A5. Or she'll explain why she's using her Filofax rings, but then she wanted to try another rings. And she really enjoys collecting things like cassettes and CDs and other things that feed her dopamine. And she just explained what's going on in her life in the sense of like, this is what makes me happy. This is why I'm using it. I might go back and use something else. I might use, the same thing over again. And that to me is honesty instead of like, look at me. I made this beautiful layout. Isn't it gorgeous? Isn't it pretty with all the stuff in the background? And I those are pretty to look at times, but I really like how she is genuine with her feelings on keeping up with the journaling. And that brings me to my second person that is in the same category of honesty with her journaling. She's known as Sam Plans on YouTube, and then she changed her name over on Instagram called Earthly Plans. And Sam, I've been following for a long time and seen her videos or her platform growing. And what I found her the first time was journaling with anxiety. And it's a 5-year-old video, but it really resonated with me. And then she was sharing things that she liked to do. Now, her videos, you never see her face unless she's going to share something. Like sometimes she'll share some of her favorite things like Portland leather goods. And then that's when you'll see her face sometimes. But her videos are straightforward. She is explaining and sharing her opinion. She is not saying, because this is what I think, you should think the same way. She like Megan has tried numerous systems from all the things in Hobonichi, all the ring type planners. She even found a planner I never heard of that was supposed to help you with your daily goals or like 30-day goals. And then she comes back on and says, okay, well, this didn't work for me, and this is the reason why. And I like that honesty because she isn't saying, hey, look what I have and you better go get it too type of thing. It's like, I wanted to try this and it works for me right now. And then sometimes she'll come back on. She goes, all right, I have found something that makes me happy at this moment. And I really like that honesty about it. And that makes me want to be a little more honest in what I like doing within my own journaling and then what I want to share online when I make my journaling videos or flip throughs. Now since I'm talking about YouTube, we're going to go to Stationary Shenanigans. This is Greg's channel. I don't know how I stumbled upon his channel. I think I was looking for stuff about traveler's notebooks, and I liked his channel right away due to his new focus or point of view of using traveler's notebooks. He is a PhD student now. When I started following him, he was getting his master's. And so now he's in a new part of his life of teaching and getting his PhD. And then one time I made a video, which you guys can look up on my channel about, and I didn't create this, but I found this hack, and then he mentioned me, and his hack is about washi tape and how to use things from the dollar store to make these flat washi tape things. And so that kind of, like, oh, cool, because no one's ever mentioned me in any of their other videos. And then when I made my first journal cover of a large journal that you can get over on over on the Amazon, not advertising, just saying, and he did a review about it. So that just warmed my heart too. And he's honest too. Like Megan and Sam is like, this is what I'm doing. This is not what works for me. And then in his Tekokaiki, he found something that he's never seen before or other people using online. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to try this. And if it works for me, it will. And if it doesn't work for me, it won't work for me. So that is Stationary Shenanigans. And then let's go to another YouTuber, since they're going in order from left to right on my screen here. Alwyn Oak. This one kind of has nothing to do with stationery or fountain pens or anything like that, but creativity. And she always starts her videos out of "Hello, Enchanted Ones." She lives over in the UK, and she loves anything that has to do with forestry and fairies, and she calls herself a forest witch. And she has the most darling little videos that she talks about how she does she sets up her house with all of her little fairies and bringing the forest inside to her home. She does follow things that is in witchcraft, and I am not going to get into detail with that. It's just that she follows the wheel, and she celebrates like when Yule comes, and I'm trying to figure out other days that are coming up, or like shaman at Halloween time. And she just gives these really neat, inner thinkings of what makes her happy and how she loves doing things with her fairy house. She also makes her own music. So she has, I'm not sure if it's on this channel or her other channel, but she records music, which is lovely to listen to if you're into wanting to find some background music for yourself while you're journaling. And then I think my last YouTuber right now that, once again, I forget how I stumble upon these people, even on Instagram, is the Unexpected Gypsy Wendy. She also lives in the UK. She is an artist. And during the pandemic, she started vlogging. Didn't know how to do it or what she was going to do, but she just did it. And she was very inspirational. I did not find her during that time. It was maybe a year ago or so when I started subscribing to her channel. And I, of course, watched all of her old videos. And I really like her honesty. I guess that's the theme today. People being honest of what works for them, what doesn't, and not trying to paint this picture of, oh, look at this beautiful thing. Maybe you can duplicate what I do. That none of these people are, I don't think, on social media for that reason. She really, I think the one reason I like her is that she's in my age group. I think she might be a year older than me or two. And she talked about menopause and what was going on with her with that. She was going on with, I think she calls it the Januaries, where she lives in the UK. And some of us in the US are going through this right now, of the dark, dismal, every days with no sunlight, just miserably cold outside and just trying to function. Her and her partner, James, just moved into a new flat or house, I apologize, a house they're renting. And it's really neat to hear her stories about that, because how different finding housing over there compared to the U.S. She's really into painting fairies in her artwork, and she writes poetry to connect with that. She just talks about what's going on in her artistic life, along with her, as much as she wants in her personal life, because, we all share a little, but not a lot. And if you're looking just for someone to just, sound like you're just sitting across the table from them, having a cup of tea and just chatting, I would recommend The Unexpected Gypsy with Wendy. She's just very, very lovely. Now we're going to go into podcast / Instagram. I guess I should have said this one right after the stationary cafe. This one is Windowsill Chats. Now, I remember how I found this one. She interviewed a while back of Brandy Kincaid, who I follow on Instagram, and for a while was subscribed to her monthly subscription. And Brandy announced that she was being interviewed by Margot of Windowsill Chats. And of course, I had to find it on my podcast list, and I listened to Brandy's episode, which was lovely. Got to learn some more interesting facts about Brandy's life and her creative life and how she comes up with her ideas. And so I started scrolling down Margot's list on her podcast and found other interesting artists that resonated with me in one way or another. And so that's how I follow her on Instagram, because that's where she announces and lets you know who's going to be on the podcast. But as you probably already know, if you do subscribe to podcasts and click on a certain thing, it'll pop up saying, hey, new episode. But I follow both because sometimes she'll post pictures about the artist, and then that's when you get to see it, the artist's face, if they decide to, show that with them or with her. So that's a really good podcast for creatives to listen to. And now we're going to go, let me see if I have everyone. Yeah, I think I went through everyone here. One moment, please. Yes, now we're going to go to, I have 3 Instagram feeds that I follow. I recently have just followed. And it just, I don't know, it just brings me a little joy into my daily life or every other daily life type of thing. Sometimes they just have a lot of stories and they share things, and sometimes they will have a post on their Instagram feed. Either way, it's just like, oh, cool, that's interesting. I've never thought of that. Maybe I'll give that a try. And I think the reason I started following the first one, Kelsey Doodles, she's been on Instagram for a very long time, and she is a journaler, and she shares her journey with mental health and why she journals. And I think it was through the Chicago Planner feed. She posted something, and I think they reposted on it. And I talked myself out of going to the Chicago Planner conference this year. I'm only 2 hours away from there. And I'm like, it's because everyone's the Go Wild one, the big one. Everyone's, drawn to that. And that was just out of my price range, and I didn't want to travel that far away. I'm like, I could do this. Well, my ADHD brain made all these excuses, so I talked myself out of it. And then I saw Kelsey's post on it, and I went, oh, okay, that's what it's really about. So I am starting to save up so I can join the Chicago Planner conference next year as a guest. I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully meeting fellow journalers that I've been following on Instagram. So she is one that has her own type of style, and in a recent video she has mentioned how that style has changed over the last 8 years of her journaling. And I like her honesty of like, this is where I've come from, this is what I'm doing now, this is what I'm using. Even though she is a PR person for a lot of companies of stickers and stuff, she's pretty much said, hey, this is what I'm doing. If you like my style, go for it, but don't try to think that you have to be doing exactly what I'm doing or get all the stuff, so your page will look like my page. But if you like these stickers from so-and-so, go for it, Here's my code. And I think that's really cool that she's honest that way. And then she comes and does a lot more stories than posts. And then she explained why she wasn't on, she does a lot of posts or stories where she talks and you see her face. And then all of a sudden she wasn't doing it. And then she came on and says, hey, this is the reason why I wasn't doing it. She had her own issues, but then she goes, I need to share this just in case someone needed to hear it. So I think that's a positive way of presenting yourself on the social medias or these platforms. Just like, being honest about what you're going through. Because a lot of people, I think, get sucked into like, oh my gosh, I need all that stuff. Oh, I want my layouts to look like that. Well, they're not going to. No matter if you try to get every single product that person uses. Why? Because that's them and you're you. And just be you. Now, the next one, I don't know how she got on my feed. She changed her name recently. She now goes by Roro and Lou. I think her grandchildren call her Roro, and one of her grandchildren's name is Lou, or that's the nickname. One reason I like her is she's within my age group. I'm 53. I'm Generation X, and a lot of people I follow online are in the millennials, and I like someone within my generation dressing funky and cool and being herself with her nails and her hair, finding planners and promoting small sticker shops. And then she's like, okay, this is what worked for me. Oh, wait, I printed this out wrong. Here, let me tell you, so in case you want to print this out, you don't have to have the frustration I went through. That honesty, I guess that's today's theme, is honesty. And I've really enjoyed watching her making her planners her own. There's some layouts I've tried to emulate, if that's the correct word. But then it turns and morphs into what I want to do. It's more CAD. It's not going to look like Roro and Lou's. And the latest thing she's done is that a lot of us call it going down the rabbit hole. And she went down the rabbit hole with the plotter planner cover. And a lot of people that I know that use the plotter use it very meticulously and exactly what those papers are in there for. And that's all I'm going to add. And that is that. Well, Debbie came along and she's like, yo, I got a planner cover and this is what it looks like. And I just like, oh my gosh, I'm like, this is what we need more of. It's like, hey, this is what I'm doing. It might not be, fit the mold of how you're supposed to use it, but, get over it. It makes me happy. So, this is one person, if you are not following her yet, I would totally go follow her. And she has shared so much of other people. Like she shares things with Kelsey Doodles and a couple other people I can't think of off the top of my head because I don't have a list. So that's another great person. And now I'm concluding my list. And this is the most adorable thing. It's the Tiny Chef Show. It is a stop motion character. I don't even know what the character's supposed to be. It's a teeny tiny green stuffed animal person. And he just does all these cute little things. Right now on this character's life is just got accepted to chef cooking shows school. So he's learning how to go to school and learn how to be a chef on TV. It is so cute. The voice is just perfectly fit. He has a pet. I think it's a pet. He has a pet kiwi. And then when he gets excited, it's this most adorable scream. Just adorable scream of excitement. And one of his goals this year is to be best friends with Taylor Swift. So I will post that link down below too of this particular channel. So if you just are like in that and you're not a scroller, or you're like, I don't want to scroll, but I just want to make something that makes my brain happy, get that dopamine going, follow and watch a couple of the Tiny Chef show. I think it will not completely make you happy at that moment, but will just like get those happy hormones going. So that is my list. Thank you so much for hanging in and watching or listening to this. Please put in comments down below which one, if you've recognized any of these people, if you follow them, I'd love to know that. Or give me suggestions of people on Instagram, podcast, and YouTube that you follow. And until next time, talk to you then.